Hey everyone, Carl here with Littleroot Lessons, bringing you another predictions video. This week for EUIC, that will be taking place April 22nd, 23rd, 24th. I think it's a 3-day event because it's an international challenge or championship or whatever. And so I have 4 big predictions for that event. And I think a lot of these are because of me noticing trends more than actually big hot take predictions. So some of these will probably feel pretty tame and fairly safe, and then I've got a couple that are a little bit spicier. But before we get started on all that, make sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, do all the fun YouTube stuff for us. It helps us out a lot. We are very, very close to our goal of 350 subscribers before I leave for Indy. Would love to hit that goal before then. So my first prediction is kind of an obvious gimme. My first prediction is that Sun will still be the dominant team come EUIC. I know that's no surprise. We've seen it a ton, coming from Liverpool winning, and it won in Salt Lake City, it won in Taiwan, it's won multiple big, large events in the past month and a half since its debut in February. If you want to get info on all that, make sure to check out the iCard. I think it's going to be in this corner up here. I go in depth and talk about all about Rinya's Sun, the history of it, how it works, and what makes it tick, and some ways to beat it. But I think Groudon and company are going to probably make up a good 40% of the top cut, and Rinya's Sun will probably be about 25 of that 40. So 25% of the top cut will be Rinya's Sun, 40% will be Groudon-esque teams, whether it's Yveldon, other variations of Rinya's team, etc., etc. Why this is just because the Rinya's Sun team is just really good. Like, I'm noticing after the last event, I think it was the Taiwan event, it was either the Taiwan event or the Frankfurt Road to Frankfurt event. Sun did not win the event, but it popped up. Like, there was 6 or 7 in the top 32, with the majority of those being in the top 8. So I think it's starting to become more of a cemented archetype, and people are getting more comfortable playing it. People are less worried about playing like the mirror or other things like that. And so we'll see probably Rinya's Sun dominate top cuts. I assumed, again, 25% of at least like the top 16. And then 40% of that top 16 will just be Groudon teams in general. I expect just to see this trend continue onward through Indy, New Jersey, Milwaukee, and so on, at least until the team gets beat. Which brings us to our next prediction. I do not think Rinya's Sun will win the event, though. As good as it is, I think that we've had enough time to innovate, and I think Calyrex Shadow and Zacian teams will probably win the event overall. We've seen this kind of trend towards that ending up happening. Calyrex Shadow is a great answer into the opposing Sun teams. That's why we've seen like things like Shadow Claw Groudon here, because Calyrex Shadow with Energy Ball deals a massive chunk to a Groudon. So definitely think that Calyrex Shadow and Zacian are going to be probably the front runners to win the event. It's a very hyper-offensive team, can be hard to deal with for some people. Unless you have like exactly like Sucker Punch Yveltal, Calyrex Shadow can pretty much run through your team 90% of the time, unless you're packing a bunch of dark types with you. Incineroar, Grimmsnarl, Urshifu Dark, and things like that. And so the archetype I think is going to win is probably going to be something similar to what won the Frankfurt event, with like Thundy and Whimsicott and some stuff spattered in there to kind of try and support and outpace the Sun teams. Next up, number 3 is going to be more of a trend that I've noticed than an overall hot take or prediction here, but I think we will see more unique Pokemon at this event than we had in any previous event before that. What I mean by that is I've been keeping track of all the stats and trends, and you've probably noticed it. I'll have a chart on screen right now while I'm talking about this, and you'll see that things like, oh, Incineroar is really popular, Zacian's really popular, and what I do is I track those numbers and I track the unique Pokemon counts. What I've noticed here is we kind of hover around the 30 to 40 depending on what top cut data we get. I think that EUIC is going to break that trend, and we'll probably see roughly 50 to 60 unique Pokemon in the top 32. What I've been playing with on Showdown, and other people have been like, I've been hearing stories, is it's just the Wild West. Everyone's just slapping things on teams to try and get it to work. I've seen Aerodactyl win an event for Pokebros. Shout out to Tanner. I've seen Bronzong pop up a lot. If you haven't caught the deep dive, go check it out. It was up on Friday. There's 5 Pokemon in there that we hadn't really seen in the last like couple of events, and they're just starting to pop up now. So I definitely think that we will see a ton of unique Pokemon. This is the era of play your favorites and try to win with them, because if you can come up with a good enough plan against the Rinya Sun team, I think you're going to be fine for the most part. The question will always be is like, if you can beat one, can you beat the Kyogre Screens team? Can you beat Calyrex Ice Palkia? Can you beat X with Y and do all that? So I think if you get enough confidence with your favorites, you could probably bring those to whatever regionals and do really well. Last prediction. This one kind of hurts because I picked this team to win. I think I picked this team to win Salt Lake City, and it ended up just not showing up at all. I think it might have been a little bit too early, but now that we've really cemented into the Sun meta, I think this is Calyrex Ice and Palkia's last chance to actually show up and do something. Ever since Brisbane and those early ICs, Calyrex Ice and Palkia have been doing really well in certain events and then not doing so well in others. In Salt Lake City, Wolfie brought it with like Pheromosa and Dusclops and got top 32, but I think that's more because it was Wolfie and not so much the team, if that makes sense. And then we've seen other good players do well with it. There was a second place, I believe, in Liverpool with the Tapu Fini. There was multiple finishes, I believe, in Liverpool overall for that one. I'm not sure if there was one in Taiwan. I'm pretty sure that Taiwan didn't really adapt into that format yet. They're still playing Rinya's original version of Sun over there with the Iron Ball, Grimmsnarl, and all that. So their whole meta game hasn't even caught up to what we're doing over here in North America and Europe. But I really think that this is Calyrex Ice's last chance to really get a spot in the meta, and if it doesn't plant its flag now, it's never going to get a chance to again, because Zacian and Charizard are just going to keep pushing it out of the format. And that's it. These are just some fun predictions that I had. I wrote down way earlier in the week. Leave a comment down below what your EUIC hot take or prediction is. There's a whole lot more that this format feels very wide open right now, even though Rinya Sun is the super popular team. I think that there's still a ton of place for innovation and experimentation, trying to find ways to beat this team, eke out little advantages, and try to get there. But that's all I got this week. Make sure to do all that fun YouTube stuff for us, like, subscribe, all that great stuff, and hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow for the podcast. Bye, everyone.